Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for All About Android is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com.
This episode of All About Android is brought to you by NatureBox. NatureBox ships great tasting snacks right to your door. Start snacking smarter with wholesome, delicious treats like baked cheddar potato sticks. To get your complimentary NatureBox sampler, visit naturebox.com/twit. That's naturebox.com/twit. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of All About Android, episode 185 for Tuesday, October 28th, 2014. We're your weekly source for the latest news, hardware, and apps for the Android faithful. I'm Jason Howell.
I'm Ron Richards.
I'm Gina Trapani.
Welcome back, team. Assemble, unite.
You know, I don't think I've ever admitted this, but I really like the opening music. Like the little
it is good.
The beat and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I always get it when it starts
It
up.
amps my adrenaline. Like I get ready. Like yeah, I'm going on.
It's definitely unique. And we crowdsourced the
Really?
theme early on.
Yeah.
We had so many crowdsourced elements, and we had a few people submit
love the
music,
crowdsource. Yeah.
and that one said Android in it. So I think we were like, yeah, it's got to
That's
be
awesome.
It says Android.
I did a snarky tweet last night as I was prepping for the show and all that sort of stuff, and I was watching app videos, and I did a snarky tweet about royalty-free music in the background of app videos because they're just all the same.
It's all like,
it's
yeah,
the funky guitar.
bing,
and-
bing,
yeah,
bing,
exactly.
Yeah, totally. Well, I believe I did too. I compared it to the 80s saxophone.
Yeah.
It's kind of the era we're in right now. Is the
Yeah,
ukulele
the
is the
funky
80s
guitar,
saxophone. Anyways, enough about Twitter. Let's welcome to the show Karim Morsy, CEO and co-founder of Algorithm. Karim, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. It's awesome to have you on today, particularly because you guys have created an app. Well, anyone who's not on iOS, like I'm not, and I'm very unfamiliar with iOS, I've still heard about DJ, which is the app that you guys have created for iOS. It's been wildly popular over there.
Literally the only reason why I still own an iPad has been the only holdout, the only application I have not been able to port over to my Android experience has been the fantastic DJ app.
Yep, called
Wow.
DJ2.
That's an endorsement right there.
It is.
It was, yeah.
And it's cool. And
now?
now you guys have released it. And that was this morning, right? The announcement was made this morning, and I'm sure it's been a day of craziness for you.
Absolutely, yeah. So we launched this morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, and it's actually been quite a while until we got this far, to finally launch on Android. We've actually been developing the app for almost 3 years, and bringing a fully featured application like DJ to the Android platform, was a very complex and challenging task. Because originally we launched DJ on the Mac back in 2006. So, we've built our software, exclusively on top of Apple's frameworks and technologies. So when Apple introduced mobile devices and iOS, it was quite straightforward for us, to take that existing technology and port it over to iOS. I mean, obviously we had to do a lot of optimizations, from desktop to mobile. But again, the technologies were quite similar, so it wasn't this complicated for us to take something that's been sustained and successful over years and bring it to iOS. And it was a huge success. In 3 years we had over 15 million downloads. We won the Apple Design Award. It was App of the Year. So it's been insanely popular on iOS. So there were quite a few Android users that kept knocking on our door, for a couple of years now. And yeah, we're finally today, we let the news out, and lots of users are really, really excited and happy.
That's cool. Well, and Ron, of course, is, because now you could jettison your iPad.
I've already thrown my iPad, my iPad
threw it
Gen
away?
1, I threw it away.
You threw it in the trash. Why did you do that, Ron?
No, but But yeah, now I don't need it. Now it's on my. Now I can use it on my. Now I want the Nexus 8, the new tablet.
I know, right?
Because I have a Nexus 7. I want a bigger tablet. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But we can talk more about.
Oh, absolutely. We're going to talk all about the challenges of developing audio apps for Android, because it's very well known that there are not a lot of music production apps, audio production apps on Android for a wide range of reasons. We'll talk all about that. We've also got a lot of news to discuss. Looming threat to NFC payments. That does include Google Wallet and, of course, Apple Pay. The newly announced Motorola Droid Turbo, a new member of the Motorola and /Droid family. Fire Phone, kind of fizzling out. I bet you didn't see that coming. Google's attempt to redesign your inbox, and so much more. But why don't we get to it? Let's do some news.
This just in, the Giants are in the World Series, but we will still bring you Android news.
The retro news was oddly accurate for this today.
It's really weird. I mean, that's a clip from like the 30s, and it was
the
totally
Giants
accurate.
Back in New York, and
the Giants win the pennant. The Giants win the pennant.
That's from the future, right? That's from like a couple of hours from now.
So let's won the pennant.
Jason.
Sorry, Jason.
Oh God,
your sport ball references.
It's like they're gonna throw a touchdown in the third half, right?
Yes, in the third half.
See, see what I did there?
Only if the puck passes the blue line.
You saved it.
Just stop.
It's a safety.
I feel awful. Okay.
Goal.
I'm obviously not a baseball fan. Thank you. Okay, so first up, Google had a bit of a management reorg. Don't know if you heard about this. As a result, our hero, Sundar Pichai, reigns supreme over even more than just the Android, Chrome, and Google Apps teams. He now also heads research, search, maps, Google+, commerce, ad products, and infrastructure. What doesn't he do? Well, he doesn't do YouTube. To this, he had to say, I'm kind of a big deal. He didn't actually say that, but I wish that he had, because it would have been true.
Well, this new product czar. I feel like the last czar we heard from was the new Ebola czar. So
the Ebola czar.
Like, is this more important than Ebola? I mean, it sounds like it. It's all new products.
I don't know. Ebola's pretty important.
I guess
just saying.
Sort of known internally as like a deal maker and a partnership creator, and like a guy that's just good at getting different, divisions within Google, of which there are many, to work together. I mean, we haven't really seen a lot of that externally with Chrome Android. I mean, they're still both going strong, assuming that those are going to merge, or I don't know, so that there's going to be some sort of one's going to come out, the winner in the end. I don't know. But he's clearly good at this. And it seems like this is why he got the promotion.
The dude's on fire now.
I mean, it seems like they're putting a lot of, eggs in the basket of Sundar. Over in the past, it hasn't even been that long since Andy Room stepped down. It's been,
it's been since what? To the end of 2012, I believe.
Yeah,
so been just almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years. I mean, you've seen a large growth.
No, undoubtedly. He's been super, he's been a big reason why we've seen Android kind of propel in the way that it has.
Yeah. I feel like
that's just a huge list. Could you imagine? You control almost everything that's completely important about Google right now. Just saying.
And he's grown a beard, hasn't he? So don't we need to update what was Sundar say? Because I feel like that's really we need to just saying.
Great. Give me more work, Ron. Pile it on.
Because this is the important analysis, is that he has facial hair now.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. I will see. I'll see what I can do. He probably has an updated Google profile pic.
Yeah, I would imagine.
At this point, with all of his new responsibility. We're hearing a lot of PR stuff happening.
There's a lot of. Well, I was funny because I was watching the World Series last night or Sunday night and saw the commercial. Saw the Android. Well, I don't watch a lot of TV. I watch a lot of TV, but not commercial TV.
Yeah.
But I busted out the old HD antenna to watch the game and had to watch commercials.
How quaint.
But it was a long commercial. It was really nice. I thought it was. I love the tagline. Together, but not identical or whatever it is. Not the same. That was clever. Yeah. But yeah, so Google's just in a full-on PR push, and part of that they've been inviting journalists and different publications to the Google campus to interview folks on the team, to take a look at Lollipop and the new Nexus stuff. And there's been some really interesting stuff that's come out about it.
There's a lot here. Sorry.
There's a lot. Yeah. So bear with me and go with it. And Bryan, try to Take my face off the screen. There you go. So we got more unbundling to come. The quote from this says, we've been laying groundwork all over the board to make certain parts of the system potentially into apps, but just groundwork. A significant portion of lock screen's functionality is now unbundled, at least the security aspects of it. So
more, if there's more, what can we expect, from unbundling that needs to be unbundled at this point? The notification layer,
I guess,
would be weird.
I mean, if they mentioned the lock screen, so that's unbundled. So they're down to that level. I mean, notification layer is probably next, or I mean, we're getting down to the nitty gritty core of it, and so. Yeah.
Soon, what is Android without the unbundled apps?
Right, I know. Think about it.
Right.
Like a skeleton.
So on the topic of carrier apps, Play Auto Install. Play Auto Install will download carrier apps during the setup process. This will put them in the data partition and allow them to be completely uninstalled by users. The download process then allows carriers to change the apps they would like to preload on a device without having to issue a system update. So key mention there is users able to access and remove these. So
tremendous.
all that complaints about the Samsung bloatware and things coming preloaded, now on one hand it gives the carriers like Verizon or whomever the ability to keep what they're, they don't have to put it directly on the devices at the point of load like an OEM. They can load it in the setup process, which is great. So there's a little more control. You get more updated apps. But if you're somebody who hates all the Motorola, not Motorola, all the Verizon stuff or stuff that gets thrown on there, you now as a user can access it and remove it. I think that's a great kind of function.
Good. At the same time, I'll believe it when I see it, because I feel like we kind of saw this before where they were like, you can now uninstall system apps or whatever. I can't remember which version it was, if it was Jelly Bean or before that. But still, the carriers were able to kind of lock things down and say, nope, you can't uninstall
and
it.
should correct myself, carrier different than manufacturer. So Samsung and their Samsung Life, it's probably still on there, unfortunately, because they're controlling the device. So I just got excited.
It is exciting.
So on the topic, one of our favorite topics of Chrome and Android, some of the Chrome OS teams are moving under Hiroshi Lockheimer, who has been in an expanded role that includes Android and Chrome. Turns out they're solving similar problems. It makes sense for them to work together.
So, yeah.
So this is the
that's kind of like, I'm sure someday, eventually, maybe, possibly. It's kind of like this sheds no real new information.
But at least it's
kind
like
of points in
step.
your direction.
It's a step in the same direction. Yeah. On the question of phablet demand, which is something I question, if you gave consumers a phablet for a week, 50% of those would say they would like it and not go back.
Karim, do you have any, obviously you're, just talking about your app in general, it works on any size screen, but really kind of sings on a larger format device. Have you played around, is your device a larger format device, like maybe a phablet or around that range? And what do you think? Do you think consumers would like a phablet if they had it?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially users that use our app, an app like DJ on a regular basis. It's just, there's a lot of advantages when you have, more screen real estate. Because, DJ is all about multi-touch control and being able to control multiple things at the same time. Like, for example, when a DJ makes a transition, you might want to move a crossfader and change the EQ simultaneously so it's a smooth audio fade and then crossfade. So definitely, especially an app like DJ, works a lot better on a bigger screen.
I mean, I think this comment is interesting to me because for myself, it's proven true.
Yeah.
Anytime I think a larger phone is just too large, once I actually use it for a week, it's really hard for me to go backwards.
Well, that's before the show when we were starting. So I don't know, Brian, if you can take the camera shot, I don't know if we can show it. But so unfortunately, my Nexus 5 took a hit over the weekend and now has got a big old glass shatter on it. And so I'm in the market for a new phone. And so I've been trying to decide which phone I would take. And I did put up a little poll on Google+. Yeah, I don't know if you see. There it is.
Oh,
look at that.
Oh, Ron,
look
I'm
at that.
sorry.
Painful.
Another fallen soldier.
Yeah.
Right?
Look at that. When I took it out of my pocket and realized, oh, man. I had it in my pocket and my keys on top of it, and I was helping somebody move on Sunday.
Oh, and it pressed into it.
Yep.
Oh,
so yeah,
that's no good.
But so now I'm like, all right, well, I need a new phone. So I went to Google Plus and I asked them my personal page. I said, so should I, get another Nexus 5, the phone that I love and adore and would marry if I could. or should I get the Nexus 6 or the OnePlus One or the Moto X? And I got a overwhelming response saying, I think, nearly 50% saying to get the Nexus 6. Despite
because
me
that's
saying,
the next Nexus.
I don't want a Nexus 6.
Right, no, because, yes.
So my theory is...
Hey, Ron, why don't you try sending it back to Google? I'm in charge of everything now, so I could probably take care of that for you.
How do you do that?
Don't worry about it.
Is he Russian now? Like, that's quite a beard.
That's
well
impressive,
done,
Brian.
Well done.
Brian's in charge of everything.
But so my point is, if I magically got a Nexus 6, I wonder if I would fall into this 50% of people who were like, oh yeah, I was totally wrong, I'll never go back.
I know. I'd say it's worth a shot, Ron.
It's not worth $600.
Join
that's
us,
for sure.
one of us.
When do you get yours? When does it come in?
Well, pre-order starts tomorrow.
Oh,
so
pre-order.
I'm going to pre-order as early as I can, just in case there's a shortage of them.
The thing is good. The good thing is that this crack isn't as bad. Like it's
is it tomorrow
totally
or Thursday? Sorry, I could be wrong.
This week.
Yeah.
I can still use the phone, so I'm not like, oh my god, I need to replace it now. Like it's not like my power button thing where I needed to replace it.
Yeah.
But so I'm gonna wait and see what your Nexus 6 looks like, and we'll see. But still, it's a lot of money. But anyway, one last thing with the PR push, and this is my favorite one, around the topic of material design and just general public relations. Google's creating a big campaign to get people more familiar with Android, as we've seen with the commercials, but also more familiar with the new material design approach. And the quote coming out of this is, "We want people who have material design devices to make fun of their friends who don't." And I have to admit, and we'll get into this later on in the apps when we talk about Inbox, but not only am I in love with Inbox, I really think I love material design.
Yeah, it's pretty
It's awesome.
I've really kind of fallen in love with material design. So
it is pretty great.
I like to see them
really
putting all these resources behind it. So
Yeah. There we go. Good stuff. Okay, now this crosses the aisle a little bit. Gina, we have some news that affects both Apple and Android equally.
Yeah, in less happy news, Apple and Android can unite on at least one thing right now: NFC payments. This is what's going on. A large group of influential retailers, a big long list, I'll read some of them off to you, are blocking NFC payments at their terminals, thanks to their homegrown mobile payment system called CurrentC. CurrentC works like this. User installs the app, fills in debit card info, and then has to launch the app at the terminal, scan a QR code to register the payment. So this isn't nearly as efficient as Apple Pay, which is usually a single step. You use Touch ID and bump the phone against the terminal, and Google Wallet, which also uses NFC to register the payment. Tons of retailers have shut off NFC payments in favor of NFC instead of NFC, including Gap, Old Navy, 7-Eleven, Kohl's, Lowe's, Dunkin' Donuts, Sam's Club, Sears, Kmart, Bed Bath & Beyond, Banana Republic, Stop & Shop, Wendy, nearly all U.S. gas station chains. So the thing that I never thought we'd see happened, where the Apple Reddit board invited the Android Reddit board to come together and boycott all of these retailers because they're basically disabling NFC payments entirely, which is both Apple Pay and Google Wallet, for this clearly inferior CurrentC system, which is, I guess, made by this organization that all these retailers are members of. Man, this is terrible. And I think we should all just boycott these retailers. It just sounds like this CurrentC app is just really not great. And the reason why these retailers want to do this is because they want you to enter your loyalty cards. They want to, collect your personal information. They don't want to cede your personal information over to technology companies. But the truth is that the user experience just isn't as good as Apple Pay or Google Wallet, arguably. Ron, I know you're a big Google Wallet person. You were using Google Wallet at least the time that you and I stopped at like a 7-Eleven together. Yep. You said you stopped since then. What's going on?
I only stopped because the 7-Eleven I go to change their machines and it doesn't have the thing anymore.
Slurpees.
Yeah, no, I don't like Slurpees.
Oh, okay.
But I use it at Walgreens and it works, so that's fine. I think this is a great example of why we can't have nice things.
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, this is what boils down to. I mean, and now we get into kind of political debate and stuff like that. But this is the problem with capitalism. It's the idea where, okay, this is this great technology and this is what you can do, and we have this, kind of big, lofty utopian idea that we will have control over our money and our applications and we'll be able to do things, whatever. And then these become, if you look at that list, that is
Yeah, it's not just like a couple of notables.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty,
yeah. And of course they're going to say, well, hang on a second. We want some skin in this game. And so they're going to develop their own thing, and it's just going to, it's going to make it useless. So
not all of these companies, by the way, are actually disabling NFC. Some of them are, not all of them are, but all of them are kind of in on this currency, which, by the way, has not officially launched yet.
Right.
So even when
it's
they're
not even available.
disabling NFC, that, now for a system that I think launches sometime in the next 6 or 8 months.
Right.
So yeah, Renee Ritchie, MacBreak Weekly earlier today, wrote up an article on iMore about this and just basically said, like, the best way to have your voice heard on this is obviously to not, to boycott.
Yeah, no, that's the thing is like there are these, the biggest power of the consumer has. I have a lot of problems with the local Walgreens that's in Berkeley, downtown Berkeley. It's one of the most awful places in the world. Their customer service is horrendous and their approach to everything. So what do? I don't shop there. That's all you can do, and that's the best thing. And so if it takes, kind of Apple and Android users uniting and coming to the same cause and doing that, that's fine. I'm not surprised to see Walmart and some other notorious companies on this list, it just shows that it's going to be a long road to get to the Star Trek vision of the world where everything just works.
Well, and it also calls into question what we've said leading up to this, which is if anybody can make mobile payments a mainstream, it works and people accept it sort of thing, Apple's the company to do it. Which
pisses me off so much.
Of course. Yeah. Okay, so Google, was doing it for a couple of years prior, but they bring different types of muscle to this type of scenario. And Apple undoubtedly just has more of an influence in this regard, more market influence, but still is kind of coming in the crosshairs. Yeah. And so that's very interesting. Have you played around with any of these mobile payments yourself, Karim? Does this affect you personally at all, or what do you think?
Not really. So we're based in Germany, so we're still quite old-fashioned when it comes to payments.
Which leads me to ask, Germany, what time is it there?
It's getting close to 2 a.m.
Oh my goodness. Wow. I did not even realize that. Man, lately we are punishing our guests.
Really, you just have no regard for their local time zone.
I'm very sorry, but I appreciate you staying up for us.
I'm honored to be with you guys.
So then you're making today a really, really long day, the launch of DJ. So I'm even more impressed. Speaking of DJ, let's talk a little bit about this. So obviously, for those who don't know, DJ2 is a turntable app now for Android. It was, as Karim was saying earlier, it was for Mac OS and then iOS, and now it's finally been ported over to Android. And I think the thing that anybody who follows Android development and is passionate about music production, that sort of thing, anybody that has those worlds intersect realizes that Android historically has not been a very good platform or very friendly to developers when it comes to developing these kinds of apps. But yet you're launching, DJ2 at a very interesting time right now. Lollipop brings with it some enhancements, which we'll talk about in a second. But you're able to kind of get this out of the gate now and have wide support, across Android devices and do a lot of things that I think other developers in this space are having a hard time doing. What would you say was the biggest roadblock in what you said, the 3 years that it took to bring this to Android? Is there anything that really comes to mind as like the biggest roadblock?
That's a really good question. I would say it was a combination of different factors. Because when you have a real-time system like DJ, obviously you have the graphics component, then you have the audio component, we have an analysis engine, and the challenging task really was to get those different components to work together nicely. Because obviously, you want to, by any means, avoid having any audio dropouts and always have clean sound.
Yes.
So you can bump up the priority of your audio thread, for example, and ensure you never, get any dropouts. But then we noticed, okay, on some devices, we're getting really glitchy graphics. And obviously, we want this immersive skeuomorphic experience of a real turntable. So we really want the animations to be smooth and also have very clean sound at the same time. So these were some of the challenges, is really finding the balance and managing to have an app that's running smoothly from a graphics perspective, but also delivers a high quality sound.
Were you targeting, as far as devices initially, were you testing these on primarily like Nexus reference devices, or like what kind of devices were you working on throughout development?
So we started with a Nexus device, but of course, one of the reasons why we said we want to go to Android was really accomplishing our mission to make DJing accessible to anyone. I mean, obviously we've reached over 50 million users on iOS, but our goal really was to allow any normal person to, be a DJ or just have fun with their music and interact with it in interesting ways. So really, I mean, we could have just targeted the high-end devices, but the whole point of going to Android was really to reach, potentially millions of more users. So we set a goal to really support, the very low-end devices up to the high-end devices. And I would say that was the other really big challenge is, getting those real-time requirements that we have on graphics and audio, getting them to work great simultaneously across all the devices. Because at some point we realized, we were fixing, a graphics issue on a Motorola device, and by fixing that, we noticed we introduced, 3 new audio bugs on a Samsung device on our side. So it was almost like a vicious circle at some point. But we've really worked super hard to make sure it works very smooth across all the devices, and we're super excited of where we are today with DJ for Android.
Awesome. And then, of course, latency, audio latency is what I was talking about just a few minutes ago, as far as, it's regularly an issue with folks that have tried to develop audio apps for Android. In Lollipop, they're unleashing improvements to the audio engine that cut down latency dramatically, down to like, I think 20 milliseconds, if not less than that. Did you encounter any of these legacy latency issues in your development of DJ2, or was it unaffected? Did that not actually touch this type of app?
I mean, of course, that was a major concern we had at the beginning, because we started with a naive prototype of just 2 turntables spinning and a simple audio engine, and we did notice there is latency. For example, when you try to scratch the record, we noticed there is a latency, but actually, we realized the latency is not that bad. You just have to make sure that all your components are highly optimized. Because like I said, DJ consists of the graphics component, the audio analysis, the real-time processing. And we were able to reduce latency dramatically just by really optimizing our graphics engine and make it completely based on OpenGL. And that alone was a significant improvement in latency, because we noticed a lot of developers, sometimes they're just lazy, they don't optimize their stuff, and then they just think, there's just inherent latency that you can't work around. Mm-hmm. But really, we're coming from the desktop, engineering side. We moved over to mobile, so it's really in our DNA to highly optimize our application, make sure they fulfill real-time requirements. And, that's one of the reasons it's taken years for us, because we really optimized almost down to the assembly level to make sure this is all super optimized. And then at the end of the day, we noticed, especially starting with Android 4.0, there's been a lot of improvements under the hood in terms of the audio frameworks, the APIs, the latency. And if you look at, if you try out DJ today, even on an Android 4.1 system, it's just, there's almost no perceived latency at all. And especially an app like DJ requires, instant reaction, instant feedback, because there are actually artists performing with this on stage. So you can't really have any sort of latency whatsoever.
So earlier you said you guys were in development on this for 3 years. And seeing what got released, it's just jam-packed with features. So I guess kind of my question is that like what, the 3-year development time, was that a matter of, well, we want to add all this stuff and this is how long it's going to take? Or did the changes in Android that happened set you back and then you kind of have to go back from start? Or basically what took so long, and kind of is this release now what you think is the perfect, kind of expression of DJ for Android? Or of course, there's probably more to come, but what did you have to cut out to, get to this, kind of release candidate?
Yeah, that's a good question. And in fact, we didn't want to cut out anything in terms of the iOS features. And that's why, we've taken our time. We didn't just, we could have thrown out an app some 2 years ago, but we really didn't just want to port the app and put it out for the sake of being on the market and making some additional revenue. We really wanted to get it right. And we really wanted to understand Android, because part of the success of our app on iOS was, its seamless integration with the OS, the whole, even though we have a skeuomorphic design, if you look up any of the panels that we're using in DJ, like, settings or the built-in library, they all speak the design language of iOS. And in fact, that's one of the reasons we won the Apple Design Award back in 2011. So we had the same ambitious goals on Android. We really wanted to reinvent DJ for the Android platform. So obviously we were, observing the changes closely that were being made to Android, and we saw, the APIs were maturing. So it wasn't like we were sitting there 3 years just trying to make this work. It was, I would say an iterative process. We kept revisiting the app as, new OS updates for Android came out, and just, realized it was getting more and more powerful in terms of audio and graphics technologies over time. Up until to the point where we knew, okay, this is ready now. The other major blocker, I would say, that we've had over the years was not so much about the technology, but really the content strategy for the app. Because part of the seamless integration on iOS is that we're directly allowing the users to access their entire iTunes library. So right. On iOS or Mac OS 10, it's a very straightforward process. From a developer's perspective, it's very predictable. We know, users on Mac or iOS, they manage their music and their playlists with iTunes. So, whenever the user launches our app, we can directly access those playlists and songs. So it's a very seamless experience. On Android, it's somewhat different because there's different ways to get your music in, like, over USB file transfer, for example. So one of the big breakthroughs for us was the partnership that we made with Spotify earlier this year. And we launched that first on iOS. And from then on, we knew, okay, we have the perfect partner now in terms of the content to launch on Android. Because basically partnering with Spotify means someone using our app can potentially access millions of songs instantly. And that's like the holy grail for the DJ, because it's all about being creative with music and giving those users access to, such a vast amount of songs. Just dramatically increases the user experience. Yeah,
and there's no lag when you do that either. When you're playing with it, it's like you search through Spotify and you go, that song, and like 3-4 seconds later, it kind of buffers in and boom, it's detected the BPM. It's very impressive. I know there are a lot of people that follow Android specifically that are in there, either shouting at us or thinking like, what about Google Play All Access? And the problem there, guys, it's not on algorithm. It's on Google. Yeah. Google has not released the public APIs for Google Music. Therefore, that isn't necessarily possible. I have to imagine if they do release that, you guys would probably burn that functionality in if possible.
Absolutely. But we always try to be as seamless as possible, with the OS. So that's definitely something we would be adding.
I don't know. Every time I've DJ'd a gig, I've always want to make sure I have the files on my device because I don't trust the internet.
That's a really good point too.
The biggest show I DJ'd was in Vegas at the Hard Rock Hotel, and I was like, listen, I cannot screw this up. I need all my music on my machine, and this is gonna go. And
you DJ'd at the Hard Rock?
I did. Yeah,
yeah, that's pretty.
It was not
impressive, Ron.
It was not planned. There was supposed to be another DJ booked, and it didn't get booked.
They were like,
there was no DJ, and so
is anyone here a DJ?
Yeah, exactly.
you, what's your name? And you were like, holy cow.
It was a crazy weekend. But so my last question really is just, as we're talking about, porting to Android and doing all this stuff, and, I was looking at the app on iOS and looking at it on Android, and really it's, this is an algorithm product. You guys have your own visual identity, but given the large push, like we were just talking about with Android and Lollipop and material design, do you see you taking the application and kind of forking it and going in one direction for iOS and another direction for Android and embracing those design elements that the OSs bring, or are you going to stay the course with your guys' kind of skeuomorphic kind of design approach?
No, we're absolutely adapting to the user interface design guidelines of the platform that we're sitting on. So of course we have the skeuomorphic turntable user interface, but as I've said, we integrate with the music library on the device. We show settings panels and all sorts of sheets that come up, and we definitely want to have that to feel native and have the look and feel of the OS. So as the design themes change, we're obviously adapting both our iOS, Mac, and the Android versions to whatever looks best on the specific platform.
Right on. Cool. I actually would not have guessed that because it's such a specific, if it's painted one way on iOS or on the Mac, I would imagine it would stay pretty consistent across the board. So that's awesome. We are going to actually talk a little bit more about DJ in the arena. Karim obviously is going to talk more about it there. So we'll actually show you, for those of you kind of like, well, show us the app. We're going to show it to you where we show all the apps in the arena. But that's fascinating stuff, and I know there are a lot of developers out there that have asked a lot of these questions about their own apps and why they want to do so many things with Android, and it's just not the easiest thing in the world when it comes to audio production. I think that's going to change a little bit more with Lollipop, so I'm excited for that.
I personally can't wait. Thank you for this app. I mean, seriously, this is I was so excited when I got the email, and Jason teased it a couple of days before, and so this has been great. So
yeah. Cool stuff.
Yeah, right on.
Let's take a quick break and eat some food. And I'm not joking. This episode is brought to you by NatureBox. And right now, NatureBox is giving you a chance to get a complimentary trial box of their most popular snacks. You just pay $2 for shipping. So you can drop your candy bar, drop the potato chips. It's hard to do, but when you've got such awesome snacks to pick from, those are not good for you. These snacks are. The NatureBox snacks, they're delicious. They're wholesome snacks. That's naturebox.com. We have a bunch of them here. Garlic, plantains.
Look at this. Watermelon fruit chews. Get better than that.
Yeah, coffee kettle popcorn. I'm pretty sure
cashews.
they have at least one full-time employee that's working on naming these things in delicious
Italian
ways.
bistro pretzels. Now you're talking my language, NatureBox.
Yeah, the names are good.
Good stuff.
Hundreds of delicious snacks. And you don't have to feel guilty about eating them, although getting them open while you're reading ad copy might be difficult. So I'll go ahead and give that to you, Ron. Thank you. Because they're better for you. They've got 0 artificial flavors, colors, sweeteners, 0 grams, trans fats, and no high fructose corn syrup. It's magic. Huh?
There you go.
There you go. Have yourself a jalapeno cashew. You'll even find snacks with no added sugar and without gluten. So, in the afternoon when you're hungry, you can just go to the cabinet and grab apple cinnamon crave from NatureBox, or sriracha roasted cashews, or cranberry macaroon granola. It's all just incredible. It's so good, so much better than the other snack options.
Was I not supposed to eat one?
I don't know. I'm eating one.
This is really good. This is the Italian bistro pretzels. Yeah,
straight from the bistro.
I would totally snack on this nature snack.
Sorry to be chewing in your ears. Whoa, that was jalapeno. Sorry, I inhaled and realized what I'd done. Oh no!
Listen, not only is this garlic and Parmesan cheese flavored pretzel bites, but they're healthy.
Yeah, they're good for you. See, there you go. Start your trial today and get a complimentary sampler box at naturebox.com/twit. Stay full, stay strong, start snacking smarter. Go to naturebox.com/twit, and we thank NatureBox for their support and this box of treats. Of Android, all about Android and the Twit network and all.
Instead of slaving away in the kitchen during the big game, try setting out a bowl of these pretzels. They're packed with a punch of fresh garlic bread without the greasy mess.
That's all you got to do.
Sold.
All right.
Sign me up. naturebox.com/twit.
And Ron, instead of watching the game, why don't you record an episode of All About Android?
I got an
idea. That's exactly what you're doing right now.
Even though they're losing.
There you go. What? They're losing?
2-0.
Oh, losing 2-0. Well, this will change. This will change, I tell you. All right. Hey, let's check out some new hardware.
Hold on. I could eat that all day, man. That's some good stuff.
I'm going to keep it over here.
I'll tell you what I could also do all day. Talk on the phone on the new Verizon Droid Turbo.
You could talk all day for like 2 days.
I could for 2 whole days.
Maybe not on the phone for 2 whole days, but yeah.
Verizon Wireless. I'll find somebody who will talk to me for 2 whole days.
That's true.
Verizon Wireless has a new Droid. It's from Motorola. It looks very pretty according to that product shot.
It does.
And it is called the Turbo. All right. And the big claim to fame is, no joke, 48 hours of battery life, thanks to a 3,900 milliamp battery. It's also got 2.7 gigahertz quad-core Snapdragon 805, 21 megapixel rear-facing camera, 4K video recording, dual LED flash, quad HD display, turbocharging, and that you get 8 hours of life and 15 minutes of charging, which is amazing.
Right,
It's got the whole Verizon XLTE, which I feel is a marketing term. But it's got the LTE. It's got Moto's enhancements on board. It's available in black, red, and ballistic nylon for those of you who are going into some place where you need ballistic nylon.
The names.
But here's the kicker. Get this. All right, 48 hours of battery life, turbocharging, 21 megapixel rear-facing camera. You can get this for 32 gig for $199 or 64 gig for $249. Available,
on contract, yeah.
Available on contract. Available on October 30th. So if you're a Verizon customer, I think this is the phone you're going for.
This is a slick device.
That's a dang nice phone.
Yeah.
Ballistic
what a golden
nylon.
age of battery life. It's so exciting.
Finally.
15-minute charge for 8 hours. That's crazy town. We truly are living in the future.
If we had to pick one element of a new phone to be the most important element, Karim, what would you personally, and there is no right answer here, what would you say is kind of the element that's most important to you in a mobile device? If you had to pick one.
That's a tough question. As a DJ user, I would probably say, the size and the speed of the CPU. Obviously, quad core. Those are pretty important factors.
I know probably top on my list more and more is battery. I want it to last a long time. Camera's pretty important too.
I was gonna say camera is but 21 megapixels. I mean, that's just insane.
Yeah. What do you think, Gina?
We have to raise our expectations, guys. Like the battery thing, I agree, is like a huge problem, and I'm really happy that it seems to be getting more and more solved. But if our biggest wish list item is that we want the phone to like last throughout our day, I mean, like we're in bad shape. I mean, come on, like we have to there's so many other cool things, that we could ask for, and it reminds me of how early we are still in these mobile devices when our biggest thing is like, I just really wish it would stay alive.
I completely agree.
As long as I need it to be,
Totally,
it's valid.
I completely agree with what you're saying. It's kind of sad that we haven't gotten to this point sooner. But a dead device is a dead device and doesn't do you much good.
Well,
and so, how many times have you been out, and you want to use your phone, but you realize, oh, no, actually, it doesn't last throughout the day. And I've got 3 more hours in this thing that I'm doing and no way to charge it. So I'm just kind of, SOL.
I mean, and the thing is, and to Gina, your point, I mean, when you say we need to have better expectations, I understand where you're coming from, but I feel like we're the byproduct of a very fast development in several different areas up against very slow development and physical restrictions. I mean, battery technology evolution and hardware part sourcing and all this sort of stuff has progressed at a certain speed, whereas what you can do with these devices and the network speed and all this sort of stuff has gone way faster. And so it becomes kind of, I'm no mathematician or I'm no computer scientist, but I just feel like, it's the kind of thing where we have unrealistic what you're asking for is unrealistic expectations of what actually the technology can do right now, and the battery life technology is just trying to catch up. You know, like that. And,
yeah.
and
No, I know. But like, you helped a friend move and your keys were in the same pocket as your phone this weekend, and now you have to buy a new device.
Well, that was
you know
my
what I mean?
fault.
Like the friend. Well, no, I disagree. You're a human. You carry the other things in your pocket, right? Like I don't think it's too crazy to expect that your screen isn't going to shatter. I totally get it.
What you're asking for is you're asking for a phone that is indestructible and never dies.
Yeah, the screen doesn't break. I want the front-facing camera to be the same megapixels as the rear-facing camera. I want it waterproof. I want the battery life to be 48 hours. I want wireless charging. I want everything, right?
So is this phone delivered to you in New York on a unicorn?
All this stuff is totally possible, and we're seeing glimpses of it in various devices that we cover here on the show. I just want it all to be standard in one device. But I just like, I think certainly, like, I get the battery life wish list, and the OnePlus One is amazing with battery life, and I actually have stopped worrying about battery life since I got the OnePlus One. But I just think, like, we can let's do more, we can do better, let's aspire higher. And I get that the hardware issues. I'm coming at this not as a hardware engineer, but as a human being who really likes to use a mobile device.
Yeah, which is fair. I mean, I think you're right. The desires are, that's where we should get there. It's realistically as to where we are. It's funny because I moved off of Verizon when Android came out because I hated their, vice-like grip on devices, and they weren't carrying the G1 and all stuff like that. And I've been on T-Mobile ever since. And the T-Mobile network's kind of been bugging me here and there. And I've thought about going back to Verizon, but I don't want all the stuff they put on it. I don't want, so it's.
Yeah, it's another
These are the
world of
trade-offs
hurt.
we make,
It's a trade-off.
Yeah, there's always a trade-off.
Other
That
type
was my
of
point.
pain.
Exactly. So anyway.
Yep.
Talking about pain.
It depends on what you're referring to. This is a two-part story. Gina, what we got?
So Amazon quietly announced the Fire TV Stick. This is direct competitor to the Chromecast and to the Roku Stick. This is a $39 dongle. Prime users can get it for $20 until the 29th. That's tomorrow. So this is a streaming stick similar to the Chromecast. It's got a dual-core processor, a gigabyte of RAM, 8 gigabyte storage, capable of 1080p HD video, and it includes a remote with voice search capabilities. Very nice. Amazon describes the Fire TV Stick as a full-blown streaming device. So you're not actually casting media from one device to another to operate it. It gives you access to pretty much everything you want on a streaming stick, right? Of course, you've got the Amazon Prime Instant Video and Prime Music, but there's also Netflix, Hulu Plus, Watch ESPN, Twitch, Showtime, Spotify, Pandora, Vivo, Plex, A&E, PBS. You get the picture. YouTube. All the things that you want on your streaming stick, you get with this, Amazon is saying. And the company is also soliciting developers to create apps specifically for the Fire TV Stick. Sounds pretty good.
Don't get play movies, which actually
that's true.
That would totally affect me because I've got a growing library on play movies. So it's like on Chromecast, you don't get Amazon Prime Video. On this stick, you don't get play movies. I'm out either way.
I feel like the only reason why this is Chromecast, well, it's being compared to Chromecast, is because it's the stick format and the price.
Yeah.
I mean, this is really more like a Roku competitor. I mean, it's really, it's very different than the Chromecast kind of thing. I still think it's about a year too late, but
yeah. Oh well.
Yeah, it's true.
$20 right now if you're a Prime user.
Why not? If we get Amazon,
seriously, that's like a no-brainer. I should really at the end of this show just get one just because.
Just pull it up on your Fire phone, pull it up on Firefly, and order it. Right?
That's
all those Amazon users
because everybody has Fire phone,
right?
Right. Well, speaking of that. Amazon's Q3 earnings report was interesting. If you're thinking about buying a Fire phone, don't do it just quite yet. No one is buying a Fire phone. It's official. It's evidenced by the company taking a $170 million loss for the quarter, largely thanks to its inventory of $83 million worth of unsold Fire phones. The Fire phone is currently sold for $1 on a 2-year contract with AT&T exclusively. It launched, of course, at $200 on contract. And the device has this is the saddest part. The saddest trombone plays. The device currently has a 2-star rating on Amazon.
Well, hang on. Let's look at the pro of that. At least that proves that Amazon is not using their power of their platform to push their own products. Right?
I suppose so.
I guess that's a good point. That's one way to look at it. Mm-hmm. Or Fire phone.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Anybody surprised?
No, not surprised at all.
We called it.
Yeah, I think everybody called it on that. Obviously, everybody called it on that one.
All I'm saying is we called Lollipop, we called this. We are. This is a resource for Android development.
It's kind of sad though, right? Like they spent a lot of time on this
and a lot of money. Think about that.
Their research. I'm wondering if their research actually said this is going to do really well.
Yeah.
Or if it said we spent a lot of time on this, we might as well just push it out, but brace for the worst.
Here's a question. You know that pit in your stomach you get when you're driving to work? And you know that thing you're supposed to do that was due 2 days ago, you still haven't finished yet, or that other thing you're working on didn't go as planned, and you got that meeting where you got to talk about it or whatever. Think about that as they're rolling into the Amazon office in Seattle every day, looking at the sales numbers, and they're looking at their ratings on their own site.
I feel kind of sick just thinking about. Like I suddenly feel really sick and sad.
Think about it, yeah.
So,
wow.
You gotta try. Gotta try. I watch a lot of Sesame Street these days. You gotta try, right?
Yeah.
Didn't work out.
Indeed.
Try again.
All right. Well, that said, let's move to an email. We got an email from Chris B, who wrote in and said, I'm definitely going to be purchasing the Nexus 6, and I'm pondering my options. If I purchase it through AT&T rather than through the Play Store, will I have delays when it comes to updates? Or will the Nexus magic still apply when Google rolls out the iOS updates if I had bought it through them?
So iOS updates. Yeah, I would just say that probably not. I mean, I don't think you have to worry, but the Galaxy Nexus on Verizon was kind of the other side to that question, which was that it was a Nexus, but it really didn't benefit from any of the Nexus things.
I feel like it would be better now. I feel like it would be, I think the OS updates across the carriers is that much more of an issue now, and so they're all kind, where that was years ago, the Galaxy Nexus. But that said, there's a reason why every phone I've bought for the past 3 or 4 phones have been from the Play Store.
Mm-hmm.
That's my preference, Yeah. And also, my personal opinion, not the opinion of Twit or any of its employees or anything like that. Avoid doing business with AT&T at all possible. Like, they're just awful.
There you go.
That's just me.
Some people would say the same about Verizon. Some people would say the same about all carriers. Like, just bypass.
I'm going through awful AT&T phone service at my office right now. It's just I will never give them a dime. So yeah. So I don't know. Stick with Google Play. If you're concerned about getting the updates as soon as they come out, stay native.
That's the safest. Yeah. The safest approach for sure.
Yep.
All right. Let's breeze through some apps. Maybe not. I'm not saying we have to breeze through it, Brian. Jeez.
Do you still have those pretzels over there? They're really good.
You guys are killing me with the pretzels. I need you to internet those over to me. I'm gonna get some NatureBox right now.
We'll go ahead and send a packet through the internet to you.
Excellent.
Really good.
We'll ship a packet to your way.
Yeah. So it was interesting. In the earlier story, Ron, when you were talking about how Google is part of their PR push around Lollipop is that they want users to be embarrassed, or they want people to make fun of people if they don't have material design on their phones. Is that right?
Yeah,
right.
They want to make a kind of thing where people without material design are missing out and get made fun of.
Way to take the high road, Google.
I know.
Jeez.
Yeah. Well, I feel like Google's starting out with shaming developers a little bit. So Google published their material design checklist for developers, which is basically just a rundown of 4 different elements of material design that your app should embrace: tangible surfaces, a bold print-like aesthetic, authentic motion, adaptive design. What this all amounts to is I got a lot of work to do on my app, and so do a lot of other developers. And it's funny, like when these OS upgrades, and particularly when the default theme of Android rolls out, you really see the apps that are tended to, well, and the apps that are kind of abandonware. It becomes pretty clear pretty quickly. So Google's just going to try everything that they possibly can to get developers to update their apps to material design. I think part of that is going to be releasing lots more Google apps with full material design, and then just trying to make it as easy as possible for developers to get in there and update their stuff, which I totally have to do. And I'm sure the Google will shame me if I don't.
What I think is going to be interesting is that, like, we've seen when it works, and it's beautiful, and it's fantastic. It's going to be really interesting to see when it doesn't work. You know, when people either try to implement it and fail, or come up short, or, you know, have a tangible surface but not a bold print-like aesthetic, or, you know, or like some aspect where
you're halfway there, buddy.
I love authentic motion. What's in authentic motion?
You know, it's interesting, like foisting a design language upon a developer, particularly like indie devs who, you know, it's just one Java programmer, you know, just slapping together the default design just to get something to work. You know what I mean? Like there's a culture clash. You know what I mean? I think that a lot of engineers, this isn't true for all engineers, but a lot of engineers don't have the sort of design, even the language around design or the value, you know, placed on design that Google's trying to shift toward. And so this is going to be interesting to see how it goes for everybody.
That was some good.
That was a nice transition. Yeah.
Well, like
something movement.
Authentic movement.
That was good authentic movement. Right there.
Star wipes are not authentic movement. So there you go.
Oh, they're in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, I just keep envisioning a world where every single app is following material design, and then wondering how they differentiate themselves from each other.
Yes.
But I mean, that kind of goes back to what you were saying, Karim, which is just, you know, taking the things that are core to your app and implementing what you can from those other specs if they fit. Because I can't imagine you would take DJ and suddenly have a floating action button and, you know, a blue bar up on the like, it's not gonna end up in that way. But that's where it kind of falls on you to make those choices, I suppose.
Exactly. Yeah. As you've said, it's a thin line between, you know, overdoing specific design patterns. So you really have to balance it out very carefully, and, you know, apply it where it makes sense and avoid it where it doesn't. And that's I think is key.
Right. Google Fit finally on the Google Play. You can download that and install it today. Now, I will admit this news came late in the day, so I didn't get a chance to play around with it myself. But I saw a lot of reaction on Twitter, and people are pretty darn positive on it. Of course, Google Fit is kind of the way, you know, the app Google system, along with an SDK that I believe rolled out today as well. So that, you know, developers can start kind of tapping into Google's approach on fitness. And I imagine Wear is going to be heavily involved in that, and, you know, tracking your fitness goals and how that all happens. So, you know, I'm gonna check it out. I do find, like, I by the way, I'm all in on the Moto 360. I realize when I'm not wearing it that I need to be wearing it, and I run upstairs and I get it. Like, it's not like I'm trying to wear it. I just wear it.
It wears you.
Yeah, it wears me at this point. And then when I go to the gym, oh, thank you. When I go to the gym, many times I leave it on. I'm not sure why I leave it on, because it's not like I'm using it while I'm doing my stuff at the gym. But
my favorite little Android Wear
keep it on,
moment from a fitness standpoint was I went to last Wednesday night. I went to go see a band at the Independent in San Francisco. I went to go see Mineral. And so I'm standing there, I'm rocking out, and about halfway through the set, my phone buzzes and I reach my step goal. When I hadn't moved for the past half hour, but it was picking up the rocking with the music as steps. And so I was like, I'll take it.
You were working out a little bit there. Yeah, sure.
I'll take it.
The head bob you were doing.
Yeah, there you go.
The head bob thing. That's calories burned.
No, I'm really curious to see what they do, you know, especially when you have apps like I use Runtastic for my runs and things like that. When they start tapping into it and integrating it and all that sort of stuff, it should be really interesting to see it kind of come through.
All right. I know you've been waiting for this discussion, Ron.
Yeah, so a funny thing happened last Wednesday. I'll never forget October 22nd, Wednesday.
Yes.
That was the day I fell in love with an app called Inbox.
Boy, it's getting awkward.
And it's a sad, tragic irony about this app, and I'll get to it in a moment. But honestly, out of nowhere, right, the Gmail team rolls out, they put out once again a little blog post on the official Google Gmail blog, which happens to be on Blogger, which for some reason cracks me up. But they announced that they've released an app called Inbox, and that they've been developing it, and it's in testing, and now beta invites are starting to go out. And what followed was the usual, a feeding frenzy for invites for Gmail. Like, it was like straight out of 2004.
I thought it was weird though that they approached invites the way they did, which was to send somebody an email. You know what I mean? Like,
send email inbox at google.com and ask for.
So many people were posting their emails online.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there was a better way to approach that for an email app, particularly. It just kind of seemed like an insecure way to approach.
But what's great is that Inbox it basically takes over your Gmail. And honestly, I could say this without hyperbole, and admittedly, I'm known for my hyperbole and my enthusiasm, but it is a new approach to email. Yeah. It changes the way you think about interacting with email.
Yeah.
It integrates some of the stuff that was in Mailbox or some of these other newer apps that I love, which is, the idea of delaying a response. So you get an email and Inbox uses a snooze function where you can say, snooze this until tomorrow. And then it takes it out of your inbox and comes back in when you tell it to, which is something that Inbox had. But it's grouping messages by contextually, so you can have a tab that's shopping related or a tab that's travel related.
Just get rid of them all in one swoop,
exactly.
which I love.
So
that's
all that crap mail that you get, it puts them in their proper bucket. What I thought was really interesting was the ability to add a reminder from an email. So, for example, last week, Jason sent me the email saying, "Hey, here's the info for DJ2," and I said, "Add a reminder, review DJ2 info." And so when I pulled up Inbox, I saw, okay, I got to review the DJ2 stuff. Like, it was, great, and you can pin. They have the pinning function where you can pin certain emails, and then you can filter your look by just show me the things that are pinned, just show me the things that I've said are important. It really is. I mean, it is probably the most innovative approach to email I've seen. And I look at every one of these email apps every time. How an email fiend I am. I love Inbox Zero and all that sort of stuff. And of Mailbox, Boxer, Soulmail, all these other email clients that I found, this is the one that I think it's elegant. It works, and it's got interesting features that make you change the way you interact with your email. That said, it only works on Gmail accounts, and I do not use Gmail as my primary mail service. So I cannot, other than my one Gmail account that I have it with, it's currently not working with Gmail for business apps. So if I could, I'd be using this for my work email in a second. And I have my personal emails on my own server, so I can't use it. But I love it. It's fantastic.
Maybe you'll switch over. Did we all get in on Inbox? All four of us, more or less, or yay? Yeah. What about you, Karim?
Not yet.
I'll get you an invite if you'd like one.
Yeah, well, they amended it. So what they did was they made it so that only people from Google was inviting certain people, and then what happened was that once you got in, after what I noticed is that after you used it a bit, it gave a little golden ticket in the action bar, and you were able to invite one person, and then they changed that to where you can invite up to 3 people. I've invited all my 3 people, so yeah. But hey, I posted this online. My dad messaged me saying, "Hey, can I get an Inbox invite?" That never happens.
Wait a minute.
I know that never. Like, how it reached that corner of the universe, I don't know. But I was like, so when I got my invite, I was like, first one goes to Dad.
Happen?
There you go. I mean, that's a cool guy. I mean, he's a former engineer. He knows his stuff, but still, but like, he's never asked me for an app invite before, so that was.
So you think it's better than Boxer and Mailbox and all of those?
Yes.
You feel like it has all the features and you feel like it's like I always thought about those apps as geared very much toward Inbox Zero, like people who clear out their inbox.
Yep.
You feel like Inbox, the whole point of Inbox is to get you to clear stuff away and get it out of the way.
You get that little sunny graphic when your inbox is cleared. I mean, what's interesting is like, I love Mailbox. I think Mailbox is fantastic, but it is so focused on Inbox Zero and clearing that inbox that it puts any other sort of functionality aside, even to the point of, for a while, the Android, I don't know if they fixed it or not because I stopped using it, but you couldn't save drafts. Like, if you started writing an email and then closed it, it wouldn't save it. And it's like, okay, that makes no sense because they're just so focused on that clearing your inbox and that kind of experience. What Inbox is doing is it's integrating all that stuff that we've learned with that Inbox Zero, but also factoring in that the contextual labeling and the grouping and all that sort of stuff. And it's got all the Inbox Zero hooks that I love, but it's got so much more. So,
Well, I have to tell you, when I tapped, so I tried Inbox. My vanilla Gmail account isn't my primary email address. I use a Google Apps account as my primary email address. So I couldn't really test it with like my real mail. So it kind of made it useless. I'm waiting for it to work with Google Apps. But I did tap the compose button, and the 4 options for me people to write to was my wife, Jason, and Ron. So you guys are clearly the people who I email with the most. Because my team, we use Slack, so we don't use email at all. So you guys are like the only people I email with you guys more than anyone else in my life.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I hit my compose button and it's Jason, Gina, and not your wife, but Bryan. So there you go.
So I don't know what that says about us.
Yeah.
Apparently, we email each other all the time.
I guess we do. Well, once a week. I mean,
Yeah,
at least
once a week
we
at
have
least.
a thread, the
At
three
least,
of us.
if not
Yeah.
more.
Well, honestly,
I suppose.
this made me, and I think I tweeted this, like, the one tragic mistake I made was in 2004, like, oh, I'm going to register my Gmail with a dumb old handle. And, like, I'm not going to get Ron Richards at Gmail. Like, why?
Never do that again.
Why?
Well, no, actually, you don't do that again because now you're all in on.
Now you're all in. Well, so, and then my other thing was, why didn't I move my personal server to Gmail for apps when it was still free? Because eventually they're going to connect this to Gmail for apps. So it's,
It is also interesting to see that if you go to the inbox on the web, you see material design there as well, which is another big part of what Google's doing right now. The cross-device, wherever you are, have your app or your service appear the same in all places, and they are definitely playing that up. Oh, are you going to show?
See, this is my inbox, and it's all clear.
This is what it looks like when you have no emails in your inbox. Something that I will never know. I will never know this.
Show off
Very
inbox
nice.
0 with the sunny.
Look at this authentic movement, right? There you go.
That is authentic.
It's authentic movement. Like that. You do this little thing here, and I can can write to Bryan or Gina or Jason. Or I can add a reminder. Like these are. It's so nice. It's just smooth.
Really nice.
I dig it.
There we go. All right.
Sorry, I know.
I have to spend more. I have to spend more time with Inbox. I haven't devoted myself to it yet, and I need to do that.
I want to so badly. If they enabled Inbox to be Gmail, to connect to Gmail apps, I would use it for my work email, and I would port over my dumb old POP3 service, and I'd pay Google for Gmail.
I'm not expecting that's going to happen very soon. It always takes them so long to roll this stuff out to Google Apps, and I have no idea why, but it just does.
I think it's just different legal agreements in terms of service and privacy issues because it's with organizations.
Right.
What privacy agreements? I've given up all my privacy. They have it all.
I think with
the internet.
apps though, it's a different thing. It's Google to organization versus Google to individual user, and there's money involved, and so I think it's a contractual thing. My Twig co-hosts say that I'm making excuses, but I actually do think that's the reason. I don't know why else they would hold back from their paid customers their new products. It doesn't make sense. Anyway,
I will agree with whatever terms of service they put in front of me, so it's fine. Agree.
Yes, accept.
Yeah, accept.
Just give me the app.
Accept. Yep.
Cool. All right, Gina, let's see what's in the mailbag.
Yeah, we've got an email from Rich, who's coming in from Westbury, New York. Rich writes, "Hey guys, love the show. On last week's episode, you guys had a talk about which devices are getting Android Lollipop, which were confirmed, and then there will probably be more than that. Am I missing something here? Most Android OEMs have a lifecycle policy, and they're almost all the same. They all promise to give the device the latest Android updates for 2 years following the release date from the device and 90 days from the release date of the latest Android update. Why would Android Lollipop be any different? I would think the answer to the question would be if it came out in the last 2 years. After all 4 Sony Xperias came out within the last 2 years. I think they'd update them all anyway. After all, Google just gave them PlayStation buttons on their phones. Keep up the great work." And that's from Rich from Westbury, New York. So this is a good question. Is the answer, if the devices come out in the last 2 years, you're going to get an update? I mean, it's not, we know that there's that organization that Google put together, or Google's a member of, or they put together the handset organization
the Open Handset Alliance.
The Open Handset Alliance. Thank you. Thank you, Jason.
You're
It's
welcome.
late here.
The OHA.
That, you agreed to 18 months, but still, there isn't really hard and fast rules. There have been plenty of times on a device that should have received updates, didn't. I mean, you never really know for sure. It's always very reassuring to hear that a specific device is definitely going to get these updates with a specific timeline. I mean, I think manufacturers that are sort of committed to updating their stuff and keeping their customers happy come out and say, hey, you're going to get Lollipop at this point. I don't think we can necessarily assume it's if it came out in the last 2 years, but I think that you can feel hopeful.
Yeah.
The chances are good that you will get it if your device is relatively new. I don't know. Do you guys, did I miss anything here?
No, I think you nailed it. Yes, they say a lot, and there have been times where a manufacturer has said, yes, this is definitely getting the update. And then what do you know? Months and months and months and months go by. And then finally they say, actually, you're not. So, I mean, ultimately, though, if you just bought a phone that's 5 months old, Yeah, you're probably going to get Lollipop, but it's hard to say any hard and fast rule as far as this is concerned. I will say that J.R. Raphael, who's been on the show many times over at Computer World, does regular check-ins on which manufacturers update well or not so well. He does kind of like a report card almost around how long it's taking them to update and what devices got updated, and often gives them a letter, including Fs. So, some manufacturers do a better job of this than others. So there's no hard and fast rule. Even if they say it's every 18 months, which is I think what a lot of them say, not necessarily even 2 years, but 18 months, it still could not be. You just don't know.
I love that.
Be happy when you do get the upgrade, I guess.
Which manufacturers can you trust? That's such a bold statement.
Yeah,
JP.
totally.
I like that. Yeah.
What do you say? Should we get to it?
Let's do it.
Let's get into the arena.
I got a victory lap to run.
So many enter, but only one lives.
Actually, you are, because you've seen the results. I have not seen the results in the last day. Let's see here. Last week's poll, episode 184. We had a few apps in the arena, and let's see here. Taking a look. Okay, fine. Ron. Horizon wins 51% of the votes.
Wow.
Let's see here. 3D YouTube Player came in second. That was yours, Gina, at 26%. South Park Pinball, 14%. So I'm the loser. And then Ping in last place. Ping's a hard one.
It was a tough one. I thought about doing Ping a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, I know the audience. It's tough.
Yeah, totally. So let's see here. So that means that I am up first. I'll clear my notifications, just because. So I am doing an app, and this will be kind of quick, but I think it's pretty useful for some people. It's basically an app that attempts to unify into a single interface the chat services that you might use, chat or text messages or whatever. It's called Snowball. It's Snowball beta right now, and hopefully this is bright enough. I don't know if I have my brightness. Let me increase
I like how
it's
like it reminds me of the little Rankin and Bass snow monster from Rudolph.
Yes, it totally does actually.
Yeah.
So you can see it's peeking out the side there.
Oh, there he is.
I'll go ahead and hide it. He does a different thing every single time you pull him out.
Winks.
And then if I pull it up, here's like a list, and I did scour through this and make sure.
Here's a lot of personal conversations I'm having.
Yeah, but they're like one word. Believe me, I read through here. Don't worry about it. But basically, here we go. It's pulling in Hangouts right now. I'm not going to scroll down, but basically what you can see down here is I also have you can't actually. Snapchat, Messenger. Snowball actually allows you to import in Line, WhatsApp, and it'll essentially monitor all the notifications coming from these chat services, and I have to imagine they're going to add more over time. And it will be a single interface for all of those chats to be in kind of a streamlined layout. You can, let's see here.
So it's almost like Adium, but for the phone.
Yes, exactly.
There you go. That's Merry Christmas.
Now
Nice.
you don't do your composing through here. If I was to tap on one of those messages, which I'm not going to. No, it's like a list, and if I was to tap on that, it would take me directly over to Hangouts.
Oh, so it's nothing like Adium.
It's more it's more of a monitoring. It's not managing all of the kind of sending.
Yeah, look at that.
So,
Bryan just texted you. Great. He said Snowball. So if you were to tap that would launch Hangouts where he wrote you in.
Let me see if Bryan's ever sent me anything else here. Hold on 1 second. Okay, no, he hasn't. So there we go.
So there you go. So it moves Hangouts. So it's almost like a traffic. It's like
sure. It's a traffic director.
Yeah, there you go.
For your messaging apps, and so it takes you through there to complete it, of course. But it's one single interface, collects it all in a single app. I really like, as far as the floating bubbles that we see all the time. I like that this hides even further off to the side, because sometimes the floating bubbles are really neat, but they actually do cover a part of the screen that at one point might not be inconvenient, but at another point it might. This at least hides it out, so you just drag it out, tap on it, and you go. So anyways, it's called Snowball Beta. I think it's kind of a cool way to coordinate your messages. Double Snowball, see? Oh, man.
What? Oh, there you go.
Just double complete Snowball.
So it pops up with Facebook Messenger and?
Well, that's because I have Facebook Messenger set to do that, right? But so
I was just curious.
We could tweak this, and I'm sure I could hide that if I wanted to. But yeah, so it collects all those and manages it for you. And it's Snapchat, Line, WhatsApp, Messenger, Hangouts, both SMS and chat. So a cool way to manage your incoming messages. It's Snowball Beta, and it is free. Cool. There we go. Okay, Ron. You were going to do this last week, and then you audibled with another.
Last because I won.
Oh wait. Oh yeah. No, you do.
Right.
Never mind.
Don't
Gina.
I get winner's preference?
Yes. No.
Yeah,
you're right.
I think am I up next?
Yeah,
or
you are up next.
You are up next.
Okay. All right, awesome. So my pick this week is called Commander for Google Now. That's Commander without an E, Flickr style Commander. And it's free with an in-app purchase. And what I really like about this app and what it does, it's pretty simple. All it does is it adds voice commands to Google. So you can say, okay, Google, and then a custom voice command or a whole menu of extra voice commands that does stuff on your phone. So for example, you can say, okay, Google, turn on the flashlight. Or you can edit that command to say just the word torch. Okay, Google, torch. Which, by the way, I'm not a huge voice command user, but if you're in the dark, it's way easier to say, okay, Google torch and turn on your light than try to search around your menus and find the app. You can say turn on Wi-Fi, turn off Wi-Fi, Bluetooth on, pause music, resume music. These are just all custom commands, custom voice commands. Google Music playlists. You can just say the playlist name and start it. I mean, this thing is super configurable. You can change what the words are, what the voice commands are. You can turn on and off different voice commands. If you don't want certain ones intercepted, then you can just turn it off. You can vote for new commands. This app was built by a 16-year-old who in the settings says, like, please enable the ads to help me pay for college. I mean, come on. How do you not want to? You want this app? Try it out. You can lock your phone. You can take a picture, take a selfie. I mean, everything that you could want to do with the phone, just sort of like settings-wise, you can do with these built-in commands.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it's really neat. It's really neat. So Google Now the voice commands doesn't have an official API. So Commander actually has to intercept your commands through an accessibility service. So when you first set it up, it'll prompt you to allow Commander to intercept your voice commands and work. But once you do that, it's super nice. You can even link it to Tasker, which I haven't done because I don't use Tasker, but you can set up Tasker commands to work with Commander. There's an option to return to the previous app after you issue a command. Really, just really neat app. Very, very simple for anyone who likes voice commands or does a lot of driving or is like me and needs your flashlight in the dark. Really neat app. And that's just Commander for Google Now, and it is free, and it's got in-app purchase for, I'm not sure, perhaps I think just donations. So you can help this developer pay for college.
Yeah, it looks like donation.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Man, that list is pretty impressive.
It really is. And it's a good looking app.
And developed by a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
Way to go. My goodness.
He's
very cool.
Overachievers.
No kidding.
Take over the
What
world.
was I doing when I was 16?
Probably can speak Chinese too. Jeez.
More than that.
We're so
like 20 languages.
Yeah, exactly. We're doomed.
So that is Commander, no E at the end of Commander, Command, and then the letter R. For Google Now. Search it right now and check it out for yourself. All right. So, Karim, this is the point where we show off DJ2 and kind of all that it can do. Ron is the one that's the superstar DJ that's DJ'd around the world in hard rock cafes all across the world.
I did DJ in England.
With your app.
I DJ'd in Leeds once.
Well, there you see.
Oh, my God.
You have quite the resume. Yeah. So,
Vegas.
Karim, go ahead and tell us a little bit about kind of what it's capable of and everything, and Ron will kind of play around with it.
Sure. Yeah. So as you can see, it's the familiar and traditional two turntable and mixer interface. So you can just use it like a traditional turntable record player. Move the tone arm, touch the record. Beautifully shows the artwork. Hit the play button.
Yep.
Now you're changing the speed slider. And usually when you change the tempo of a song, you get that chipmunk effect, like when you speed it up. But for that, we've actually enabled time stretching on the higher end devices. It's the little note icon underneath the speed slider. When you touch that, it's gonna actually, when you change the tempo, it's gonna preserve the pitch.
That's
really
awesome.
cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's great.
You can even slow it down and you still have constant pitch when you have time stretching enabled.
That's cool. It's corrected here.
Yeah.
There you go.
To make a seamless transition to the next song, basically just push the sync button on the right song before you make the transition. In the upper right corner. No, not that one, the other one.
Yep.
Yep. Now it's perfectly beat matching the two songs together, so you can actually preserve the tempo and the beat. So when people are dancing to your music, you know, they don't miss a beat.
Yeah, it's hard to see because I'm on an Nexus 7, but you see that the above this slider is a number, and that's how many beats per minute. So this is 149.1, and it's synced up both songs to be 149.1. So which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I was.
Yep.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I was playing around with this earlier with a couple of like deep house tracks, and you know that's what I spun back in the day, and so I was like, all right, let's see how it applies to what I used to do, and it worked really really well at finding the beat and syncing it and everything. It was ridiculously easy.
Great.
And so then you've got the kind of the readout up on the top, the actual live waveform as well, right?
Yes, so when you load up a song, we simultaneously process the whole file and scan it for BPM, the overall loudness of the song. So we also match the volume, so it's the same perceived loudness. So when you make a mix, it's not like, because you know different songs are recorded at different levels, so we make sure to correct that automatically for you. And now when you see it finished analyzing, it basically color maps the frequencies of the song. So basically you can see similar parts within the song that have the same color, and the color sort of implies, you know, what kind of, if it's a bass heavy song, so you can visually cue and understand sort of, you know, how the music is structured and what it's going to sound like.
Yeah, and those visual cues when you're in a little booth and people are dancing around you and stuff like that, you want it, like the whole thing is that, like at least for me, you know, like right now I'm on that countdown clock. I got 2 minutes to get to the next song, and okay, what do I want to do? Okay, I need to sync up the beats per minute, and I don't necessarily want to start the song in the beginning. I want to move the tone arm, and I don't know if you can see there's a red line there, and that shows you where the needle is. And those visual cues just allow you to make those decisions that much faster, and so that when you do your transition, it's seamless and nobody notices, and it just, you know, it keeps the party going, you know. So yeah.
Cool. And then you have the Spotify. Do you have Spotify?
I don't have Spotify hooked up for it because I canceled my Spotify account. So.
Oh, okay. I was playing around with it. Wow. It might be hard for me to jump into it, but basically you can add to the library using Spotify.
Yeah, I can show you that. So if you go to change a song, you can go and you go to Spotify, and then I'm not online right now, but it would pull up the Spotify listing.
And it does it pretty close to immediately. It takes a couple of seconds to sync it up and.
What I love about this is the subtle little things. I don't know if you noticed. So here I am. There's less than a minute left. I'm going to change a song, and I've got the remaining time.
Yes, I noticed that.
Yeah. Oh man, that is just great. So you're like, oh great. Okay, I need a song. Okay, I'm gonna go. Okay, Bizarre Love Triangle. Let's do it. And so, all right. and then that way you're ready, so that when you don't miss that cue, because you do not want dead air. So what's also neat, and can you tell us about when you tap that, it unveils this whole kind of panel, which is neat.
Yeah, that's like a little drum machine or a sampler, and that actually allows you to play, you know, the world famous party horn.
Yep.
We have some drum sounds on there, so you can actually, you know, give your own touch to the music.
There's also some packs of sampler presets, including the Snoop Dogg pack.
Everybody should have the Snoop Dogg pack, to be honest.
Everyone should have it.
Yep. So.
Right on. Yeah, it's very cool. I had a lot of fun playing around with this.
And what's great about this, at least in my use of it, is that, you know, like, yes, I've been, you know, fortunate or poor DJ enough to actual DJ parties and DJ kind of shows and stuff like that. But also I've used this when you're just at a friend's house for a party, and that auto mix feature is great, where it'll just DJ for you and you just kind of plug it in, leave it, and walk away from it. You know, it will start playing, and you can specify the beats per minute and the transition and how long you want songs to transition to, and it'll just go through your songs almost like on random, and do the fade ins and fade outs. You know, like so you don't actually need to be in front of the app, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So.
And so you guys also have hardware and also a splitter. So I know from my time as a DJ, you have the cue, which is the mix of the thing that you're, you know, which is the track that you're queuing up that nobody's hearing but you. And then you have the live output that everybody hears. Of course, on these tablets and these devices, you have one audio output. So that's one stereo output. How do you get around that? Is there a way to do kind of the one ear is cue, the other output is live output?
Yes. So as you said, one of the most important things is being able to pre-cue the song, preview it before you actually play it to the dance floor. So we've come up with a pretty clever solution together with Griffin Technology. It's basically just a simple splitter cable that's designed specifically for our app. So the connectors show you where you should plug in the headphones and where you should plug in the stereo system. And basically that cable is going to split the signal into two, so you can independently from what's going through the main speakers preview the song on the inactive deck.
Yep. Which is key when you want to queue up, when you want to get that kind of, you know, that transition perfect. You know, you're able to put your headphones on, listen to what's being queued up, but it's completely different than the song being played. I can hear what's going on you know, turntable 2 as opposed to turntable 1. Which
you really don't need it either.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have that here, and I was just playing around with it and having a great time. But
yeah, there it is. But that said, like if you're serious about DJing, you need it.
Yeah.
Like if you're when you're in that environment and all that sort of stuff, when you're, you know, when there's so many distractions and stuff like that, because there's also a visual cue to the people around you when your headphones are on to not talk to you.
Yeah, that is very true. Very true.
You know,
true.
and so
Very good point.
yeah, that has been a key thing, I think, for a lot of DJs, you know, to have total control over what they're doing. And for me, that was a game changer. It was like, it wasn't until I got that dongle and was able to use the headphones that I have confidence in what I was queuing up next and doing the transition and that sort of thing. And you know, and I'll be honest, I mean, I'm not blowing smoke or anything here. Like I tried the desktop DJ app. What is it? Not Nero or whatever. There's a whole bunch of other desktop on the Mac stuff, and I've DJed with that stuff. I even showed the DJ app here in the arena a couple of weeks ago. But this iPad, you know, when I'm using it on the iPad, that was like the one where I was like, okay, I've got the confidence I can do this if I'm not a classically trained DJ, and to have it on Android is just even awesomer now. So, yeah.
Real quick, effects. Because
Yes.
it has effects, and I had a lot of fun playing around with that. Have you played around with the effects very much?
What are those? That's the waveforms.
You go to there. So there you've got your EQ, then you've got your effects, which, you know, you've got different. So maybe a little bit more fit for like dance music, but yeah, it was a lot of fun doing that on the track that's mixing out and everything. Awesome stuff. Poconos in the chat room is very nice. Poconos in the chat room is asking about potentially Chromecast support. I'm not sure how Chromecast support would work with DJ2, but that sounds intriguing. Have you guys considered that?
We're actually looking into it. So it's already possible to stream the visual interface to TVs. But it's definitely something, it's an area we're actively doing research in, because on iOS we also have the VJ app, which allows you to mix video and visuals in real time.
Oh, right.
So it's definitely something we're also looking into for the Android platform, because we think it's kind of a nice visual touch to DJ performance. Totally.
Well, I'm super pumped about it. Obviously, we're bringing you on the show to show it off because it's a pretty cool offering, and yeah, it's just cool to see some actual choices, music production choices, hitting Android. I really hope that we continue to see more of this, but totally appreciate you guys doing all the hard work and bringing this to Android, because I think it's awesome.
Yeah, it's so cool.
So this is DJ2. You can find it in the Play Store. Just search for DJAY. That's DJ, not the letters DJ, but DJAY2. and or you can search for algorithm. And you'll find it, whatever. Do a search for DJ2. And what is the pricing for this right now? Because I know it's kind of a discounted price at the moment, right?
Right. We're having a special introductory offer of $2.99.
Get it.
For the universal app. So it runs on phones and tablets.
Yeah.
Everyone go get it while you can.
No-brainer.
It's worth it. It's worth every penny.
Right
or
on.
wait, so they can make more money.
That's true. Fair enough. Right on. Cool. DJ2.
I somehow think I know who's going to win the arena this week.
You never know, but it is pretty impressive. Ron thinks that he's going to win, right? What
I don't
you
know
got?
if I'm going to win, but for those longtime listeners and audience members of All About Android, you might remember in earlier years of All About Android history, there was a segment of apps that I like to bring into the arena.
yes.
That was the insane WTF apps. And I feel like in the past year, things have kind of settled down. We've got a little more mature in terms of our app development. We haven't had that many kind of what are they thinking apps until recently when I came across this one. We've looked at several different alarm clock apps. We've seen apps that utilize your phone to you put it on the bed and it slowly wakes you up with some nice jingles, and some other apps that have an alarm clock that wake you up with a different song every day, and all these kind of clever integrations. Well, I came across this app called Wakey, which is unique in that what it does is it crowdsources people to wake you up. And conversely, you can be crowdsourced to wake other people up.
In fact, you have to. It's like you have to trade for it.
Basically, what the app works is almost like a VoIP switchboard. And what you can do is you can set an alarm, and in and around, it's not exact, but in and around the time that you set, someone will call you and wake you up, because the person who developed this app said, really, I wouldn't play the video, Bryan. It's a clip from a BBC show, so it's not like a true app demo video. But the premise is that the best way to wake up is to your phone ringing and have to talk to somebody.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if I agree with that.
Right?
But
And so what happens is that the phone rings, and the way you wake up is by answering it, and then they have a minute to wake you up, and then after a minute they disconnect. Now, privacy concerns, no one is getting your phone number. They're not giving your phone number to anybody. Basically, what's happening is that Wakey's system is acting like a central kind of switchboard, and it knows your phone number. It will call you and route the caller that's calling you, or it will route your call to other people. Now, because I like a live demo. First, I think we should. And Bryan, I have the audio plugged in, but first, I think we should look at what they see as kind of how it works, which I think is kind of fun. So, basically, this is the little opening kind of animation when you
the onboard process.
Yeah, the onboarding, and saying it's so much better when you wake up, and people help you wake up each time gently, creatively. With all their heart, and it's all this kind of warm and fuzzy. And they actually have a sample call here, which I think is worth listening to. So there you go, Bryan. You got audio? I'm not getting it. Really? See.
Yeah, got it up over here on the board.
Because you're turning up the ringer.
Let's see.
Hi.
There you go.
Morning.
Hey. Good morning. How's that?
Hey. How are you? Did you sleep well?
Oh, I just woke up.
Man,
Where are you?
I would not want to.
San Francisco. What about you?
Oh, cool. I'm in Hong Kong.
Oh, nice. How's the weather there?
Conversations from asleep.
It's so awkward, right?
Yeah, so awkward.
So anyway,
So
that's how they say it's supposed to work. So what I found is I used to wake up one of my friends in high school by calling him at 7 a.m. and shouting math problems at him. So that's what I've been doing to people. But so we're going to demo both sides of the fence here. So first, we're going to wake somebody up. We're going to do this, right? So basically what happens is when you log into the application, you do a little avatar. You give it your information. You tell it your name, your gender, your birthday. And basically what they also try to do is they try to match men to women and women to men because they feel like that's a gentler way to wake up, although it's not 100%. But they do keep track of how many times you've been woken up, how many people you've woke up, how many total time on the phone you've spent. So for this, now the tough thing is that we're here in California, so only people waking up are really kind of Europe. So I was testing this at like 11 o'clock at night, and I was getting a lot of British people. So I actually don't know if we'll get anybody here in the live demo. But basically, what you can do is you could turn it on to say, I want to wake somebody up, and it will just stay running in the background. It'll give you a notification when it does wake someone up. So
hey,
here it says we found somebody. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to wake them up.
I can't take this.
I know. I'm a little nervous.
All right, so
Wake you, please.
Brian, can we get audio? So it plays a little music.
I'm nervous. The person is like snoring right now. Like, oh, what? My phone is ringing.
So it says I'm waking somebody up from the U.S. See this little flag there? It tells you where.
Okay.
See, this is the only problem is that you're sitting here on your phone waiting for a minute for them to wake up for the answer.
And then if they don't answer,
it will say, oh,
that didn't work.
And also you can report if you get their voicemail too. See, it says end and report voicemail.
Only 15 seconds to go.
Yep.
Will it happen? Will this person wake up?
Well, there you go.
Probably not.
So,
doesn't look like it.
Bummer.
I didn't have very good luck when I was trying this app.
I gotta say, when you're doing it at midnight in California and getting British people, it is hysterical. But yeah, so I'm gonna add an alarm here so we can see it. Oh, here we go. Oh, they found another one. So there we go. See. So I don't know what that country is. It's a star.
I wake you. Please stay on the line while we connect you.
And here we are again.
This is nerve-wracking, you guys. I can't take like awkward interactions live.
When someone does answer, it's totally worth it though.
See,
this is what happened to me.
You get their voicemail.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
voicemail.
All right, hang on a second. I have to enter my phone number because I'm going to tell someone to call me.
All right, let's do this quick.
All right, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
Wait. Why are you entering your phone number? How does that work?
No, stop waking up.
Man,
stop.
Lots of people need to be woken up right now.
For some reason it logged me out, so it has my phone number registered to somebody else. Anyway, so that's the app. Here we go. We'll do one more and then we'll call it.
All right, we'll call it after that.
Hi, wake you, please.
But what I think is really
awkward conversations with another gender when you're barely awake.
When they choose to wake up. That said, barking math problems at British people at 7 in the morning their time is hysterical.
So that's how you choose to do it.
Yeah.
And I guess everybody has their own style.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So we'll kill that. So here, when you want to end a call, I could say it went to voicemail. I got echo noise. You could tell it what you're getting. So, that sort of thing. But yeah, so that's Wakey. It's free. Stop.
I feel like you're giving a lot in this relationship. You're not receiving.
I really am. Yeah.
Very much.
But
Wakey, but
yeah.
You know.
So it's currently available in Canada, Hong Kong, Singapore, United Kingdom, United States, and a whole bunch of other European countries. So if you want to be woken up by an actual live person, kind of like a wake up call, Wakey's your choice. If you want to wake people up, if you're that sadistic, Wakey's your choice as well. Free in the Android App Store and the Google Play Store.
Mileage may vary, but it could prove to be a very awkward way to wake up, I have to say. I would not look forward to that call, but it would wake me up.
It would, yeah.
It would get you out of bed.
I mean, back in the day when the phone would ring, that's what would get you out of bed. So he's got a point there. But
I suppose so.
You got to leave your ringer on, all this sort of stuff. But yeah, so it's pretty amusing.
All right, so there we have it. We have Snowball, Commander for Google Now, DJ2, and Wakey. Place your vote right now. We're going to have your votes throughout the week. AAApoll.com/185. That's AAApoll.com/185. Let your voice be heard. Vote on your favorite apps, and we'll check in on this next week and see where it all lands. They're all really good, but I have a good feeling I know which one's going to win. So we'll check back on it then. But wow, supersized episode. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Karim, Morsy, really appreciate you, A, joining us with this awesome app and all the information behind it, but also B, staying up as late as you are. I have to imagine as soon as this ends, you're going to curse out loud and go to sleep right away.
No, it was totally cool. Thank you so much for having me on the show. It was really an honor.
Congratulations on a successful launch of the Android version of DJ2. This is kind of your opportunity to let people know kind of where they can find you. Pretty much, this is your plug moment. So whatever you want people to know, go for it.
So yeah, get the app on Google Play. It's called DJ2, DJAY2. And you can find out more information on our website. It's algorithm.com, ALGORIDDIM.com. Check it out.
Radical. Karim, great work. And we'll be following, who knows, maybe we'll see the video, the VJ for Android someday soon with Chromecast capability. I don't know. I'll cross my fingers. Anyways, thank you again, Karim.
Thanks, Jason.
And Ron, how about you?
So you can go to about.me/RonXO, and that's got links over to my Twitter and Instagram, Google Plus, and all that fun stuff. And by day, I'm over at imagecomics.com, where we're making some great comic books that are all available digitally. You can get them on Comixology and Google Play and iBooks if you choose to. But some cool stuff like The Walking Dead and Saga, and some really amazing stuff that's coming. Southern Bastards, one of my favorite comics, new issues out this week, so check it out. And of course, you can go to my ThinkUp at ronxo.thinkup.com, where you can see the highlights of my insane chatter on Twitter. Thanks to Gina and her team.
That's right. Gina, what is this ThinkUp thing?
Nice segue. Thank you,
I've had some very good segues this episode. I would just like to note that. I've been really on top of the segues. So, yeah.
Yes, so by day, I work on ThinkUp, thinkup.com. It's an app that will give you daily insights about you and your friends on Twitter and Facebook with other networks like Instagram coming soon. Go check it out, thinkup.com. You can sign up with Twitter and Facebook, get a free trial, 14 days, and you get to see some of the wackiness like Ron sees here, new followers, bio changes of his friends, the tweets he's getting replies to.
Got a lot of replies to that Emily Valentine one.
That's amazing. Wow. Jason Priestley, ladies and gentlemen. You got to look at ronxo.thinkup.com. And when I'm not working on ThinkUp, I also co-host This Week in Google here on the Twit Network. And that airs on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And I'll be on tomorrow with Leo and Jeff from Madrid, I believe. And it's going to be a lot of fun. We talk a little bit about Android on that show as well. So
I think Jeff might not be on. It might be Kevin Marks. And I'll be pushing buttons on that show, so I'll be there with you.
Nice, Jason! I get to see you twice in 1 week. Very exciting.
That's right. You have to see me twice in 1 week.
It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Bryan, what about you, sir?
Sorry. Speaking of seeing things twice in 1 week. Is that a good segue?
I don't know.
I
don't know yet.
If I'm teeding this show once a week, the other time you can see me is on Know How with Padre, and we're doing a different part series of quadcopter stuff. So if you're interested in that, check it out. We've been having a lot of fun with that, flying them into people at the studio and stuff. So I'm sure we've irritated you enough with that, Jason.
I love it. And yes, you've irritated me a lot with it, but I also love that irritation because quadcopters are cool.
Yeah, I think we chased you around on Friday, wasn't it? Yeah, we attacked you. So.
Yeah, it was like a star battle happening like 3 feet from my face. So,
just where you want a quadcopter.
Excited. Yes, exactly. You can find me at about.me/Jason Howell. Follow my musical exploits at yellowgoldmusic.com. You can also submit your favorite moments of this show at twit.tv/bestof. Pretty much for any show, actually, for our end of year best of episode. And then I also do another show on the network called Android App Arena. Yeah, there's our best of form. Last week's episode of Android App Arena, many people are saying they really like it because what it's all about is taking your pre-Lollipop device and turning it and making it more Lollipop influenced. So using launchers and themes and dialers and everything to turn a device that isn't quite Lollipop yet into a device that looks a lot like Lollipop and functions a lot like Lollipop. So check out that show if you haven't already, twit.tv/arena. And you can find all 18 episodes so far. But that is it for this weekend. Thank you so much for joining us once again. Voicemail can be left at 347-SHOW-AAA. You can send us an email at AAA@twit.tv. You can find us on Twitter. We are at Android Show. We're also on Google+. The community's there. The poll is inside the community. Just search for All About Android on Google+. We have a subreddit, twitaaa.reddit.com. We've got a webpage with all of our episodes and awesome information there, twit.tv/AAA. Catching a theme here. And finally, you can catch us live every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific at live.twit.tv. That is it for this week. We'll see you next week on another episode of All About Android. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and scratch a little bit. I can't get to it in time.